Hi and welcome to Oceania Weekly. I'm Stephanie Greenfield. Driverless buses are carrying passengers in the city of Sejong from this month. Self-driving buses have had several trials, but this is the first time those buses drive themselves along with regular vehicles in real traffic situations. In a 37 billion won research project, Autonomous Public Transportation, the Korea Transport Institute, SK Telecom, Seoul National University and Hyundai Motor Company have jointly developed the self-driving buses. The Ministry of Land, Infrastructure and Transport will operate 2 driverless buses, which will drive a 9.8 kilometre route 2 to 3 times a week after a test ride on Tuesday. These vehicles have level 3 autonomy, which means they require human override and can only be in the self-driving mode in certain situations, such as in good weather. US Defense Secretary Mark Esper will travel to South Korea this week in an apparent move to continue pressure on Seoul to revisit the decision to end the General Security of Military Information Agreement, which is scheduled to expire on November the 23rd. Pentagon spokesperson Jonathan Hoffman said that Secretary Esper will travel to Seoul, Bangkok, Manila and Hanoi this Wednesday and will assess common challenges such as the militarization of the South China Sea. Esper will arrive in Seoul on Thursday and attend the 51st US Republic of Korea Security Consultative Meeting. Hoffman said that he can practically guarantee that the agreement will be part of their conversations during Esper's stay in South Korea. The rates of antidepressants being prescribed to young New Zealanders has risen by 44%. A study published by the New Zealand Medical Journal examines trends in antidepressants prescribed to young people from 2007 to 2016. The research by the Universities of Auckland and Otago shows that the rates of antidepressants being dispensed are at an all-time high among young people. It did not look at the diagnoses, leading to why the antidepressants were being prescribed. The biggest increase was in the 13 to 17-year-old age group, with an 83% rise over the 9 years. The study said access to specialised mental health services has improved between 2007 and 2015, so the increase in antidepressant dispensing could suggest young people are getting better mental health care. Women between 18 and 24 years old were also the most likely to have used antidepressants during this time. It's a finding which the University of Auckland's Associate Professor of Psychological Medicine, Sarah Hetrick, said showed women are getting the help they needed and perhaps men were not. To date, there have been no published studies of antidepressant use by New Zealand children and young people. A man is facing deportation after he allegedly married his sister in an attempt to get a visa. The 28-year-old from Cambodia always denied he and his wife, from whom he has since separated, were related, but the pair had repeatedly refused to take a DNA test. The man took his case to the Immigration and Protection Tribunal after Immigration New Zealand declined his application for a student visa because he allegedly previously lied to authorities. According to a tribunal decision, the man came to New Zealand in December 2013 on a 1-year partnership visa after marrying a New Zealand citizen born in Cambodia. In July 2014, the man applied for residency on the basis of the partnership. Immigration New Zealand declined the application because it believed the couple may be in fact siblings, but granted him a partnership visa. A person who has asked INZ to keep their identity secret claimed to have known the wife for many years. The informant said the woman and man were siblings and the wife had been in a long-term relationship with another man. The New Zealand government's zero carbon bill passed with near-unanimous support last Thursday after National agreed to support the climate change law. Despite supporting the bill, National have set out several changes to the law that they would make in their first 100 days if elected, including the removal of the controversial methane target and asking an independent commission to set it. National's votes are not needed for the bill to pass, but are hugely important in setting out whether or not the law can survive across governments, a fervent hope of Climate Change Minister James Shaw. The law will set up an independent climate change commission, which would advise governments on how to meet targets set in law by the bill, zero net carbon emissions by 2050, and a reduction of between 24 and 47% of methane emissions by 2050. These targets are intended to keep global warming to within the 1.5 degrees Celsius by 2050. Opera performer Placido Domingo, who has been accused by multiple women of sexual misconduct, has withdrawn from a cultural festival planned in conjunction with the 2020 Tokyo Olympic Games, organisers said. The 2020 Tokyo Olympic and Paralympic Organising Committee said the renowned Spanish opera singer and conductor will no longer appear alongside Japanese kabuki actor Ikikawa Ibizo in a stage show combining the two performing acts. The organising committee said in a statement that the decision was made by Maestro Domingo after thoughtful consideration. The Associated Press reported in August that 8 singers and a dancer said they were sexually harassed by the former member of the Three Tenors, in incidents dating from the 1980s. The accusations have led to the cancellation of a number of planned opera performances involving Domingo. Parents at an eastern suburbs primary school in Sydney are angry after they were told to buy a $500 7th-generation iPad for their 9-year-old children under the school's new Bring Your Own Device policy. They say Rose Bay Public School did not give them a cheaper option, such as an older iPad or an Android device, and they worry about making their children responsible for looking after an expensive tablet. Some parents don't want their children learning with iPads at all. The state's P&C Federation also questioned the policy, saying it was inappropriate for a public school to ask families to buy expensive iPads. But the school said the move had the support of the local P&C, and students unable to buy the specified iPad would be able to use one owned by the school. A spokesman from the New South Wales Department of Education said that no student will miss any learning opportunity if a family is unable to provide the recommended iPad. The world's largest penguin species could be heading for extinction this century without the reversal of the world's climate fortunes. University of Canterbury scientist Michelle LaRue, co-author of a new study, says current rates of climate change will imperil the emperor penguin. Dr. LaRue said if we don't hit the Paris Accord emissions goals, emperor penguins are in deep trouble. The headline findings come from an international collaboration between scientists and are published in the Global Change Biology Journal. Emperor penguins build colonies on packed ice locked into the shoreline of the Antarctic continent, but close enough to open seawater to give the birds access to food for themselves and their young. Seabird ecologist Stephanie Genovria said that if global climate keeps warming at the current rate, we expect emperor penguins in Antarctica to experience a 26% decline by the year 2100. New Zealand's newest political party, Sustainable New Zealand, has launched last week with a promise of increasing conservation funding by $1 billion over 4 years in a bid to halt the extinction of native species. Leader Vernon Tava said the funding could come from New Zealand's first $3 billion Provincial Growth Fund, and he has endorsed the use of gene technology to help reduce predators. He described the party as a full-time environment party. Tava is a former Green Party member who unsuccessfully stood as male leader in 2015 against James Shaw, arguing at the time that the party should be able to partner with Labour or National in government. At the launch in Wellington, Tava said his party would put the environment first. More than 70 fires are burning across the New South Wales state in Australia, while 2 emergency warnings have been issued for bills crossing Crowdy on the mid-coast and Mount Nardi near Lismore. Meanwhile, 12 fires remain at watch and act levels, primarily in the state's northeast. More than 40 schools closed last Monday. National parks north of Hawkesbury River were set to be closed from last Monday from 8 a.m. until further notice. The closure is an important measure to protect the public's safety and to ensure no one finds themselves trapped in a park if fire breaks out in these extreme conditions. Parks will only reopen when considered safe. With more than 150 homes destroyed and 2 lives lost in the New South Wales bushfires, authorities are warning that the worst is yet to come. The current disaster in New South Wales has revealed unprecedented fire risks, with extremely volatile fires being fuelled by bone-dry conditions and strong gusts of wind. The dangerous weather conditions that have caused uncontrollable fires around the state are only expected to worsen over the coming days. The New South Wales Rural Fire Service has warned that winds are expected, which could create further risk. The Bureau of Meteorology has also issued severe weather warnings for multiple areas of New South Wales due to damaging winds. New South Wales Premier Gladys Berejiklian has warned that communities around the state should brace themselves. In Australia's most historic wine district, vineyards appear to be flourishing after a sprinkle of rain in the past weeks. However, beneath the rows of green vines, the soil is drier than ever. The Hunter Valley is in its 4th consecutive year of drought, and as summer approaches, vineyards are expecting to struggle under some of the worst conditions the region has ever seen. Jean and Tom DeJean run the smallest commercial vineyard in the Hunter Valley, and drought is a constant threat to business. Even the smallest changes can have a devastating impact. Mrs. DeJean said that although the quality of wine continues to improve and uphold the region's prestigious reputation, they have struggled to maintain the quantity of product. Now we're going to cross over to Voice of America.
24-year-old Talha made the switch to e-cigarettes last year, thinking it would help him stop smoking cigarettes. But vaping quickly became a nightmare for him, as he is now dealing with oral cuts and minor damage in his lungs.
Honestly, I just wanted to come across as a cool guy, but over the time I realized my mouth was running dry, my throat was irritated. I started to develop oral cuts. I stopped using e-cigarettes and vapes when I started to have serious pain in my chest.
Health experts warn the idea that e-cigarettes are a healthier alternative to regular smoking is a misconception. The U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention has confirmed at least 37 deaths and more than 1,800 lung injuries are linked to e-cigarettes. Investigators are looking into whether chemicals used in vaping may be to blame. Experts in Pakistan add, as long as nicotine present, vaping is a health hazard.
The worst cases I am seeing are that of mouth ulcers and severe throat infections that can become cancerous any minute.
While Pakistan has been banning tobacco advertisements on TV, print media and other platforms since 2005, it is reported that Pakistan is leading its neighboring South Asian countries in cigarette consumption. However, these regulations do not yet apply to vaping.
We all know smoking cigarettes is not okay, may it be e-cigarettes or otherwise. But we have to watch these developments closely. We have initiated a study into this too, so we can know the extent of the damage these alternates can cause. We hope to bring the legislation by the end of November.
In the United States, 13 states have banned usage of e-cigarettes in public areas. Pakistan might soon introduce its own legislation to tackle vaping. Talha and others urge the government start awareness campaigns to warn of the health risks. Gethi Aranis, VOA News, Islamabad.
Thank you for joining us here at Oceania Weekly. I will see you next week.